All right, greetings. Welcome into Bettor's Last Stand here under the Pine Room Studios umbrella. We are in our beautiful studio. Yes, your eyes do not mislead you. Sitting to my left, camera's right, the one, the only, professional handicapper and betting analyst, Mr. George Kettlewell joins the program. His inaugural appearance here on Bettor's Last Stand. He's filling in for his twin brother, Mark, who's out on assignment. And we got Chris here as usual. Thanks for joining us. We are going to dive into some NCAA basketball. We got lots of opinions to get, a lot of things to break down here. Chris coming off a hot week last week, 4-1 in his BLS picks, and be sure to check those out on Instagram at the Pine Room Podcast and on our Twitter, both our BLS PRP Twitter and the Pine Room Podcast Twitter itself. You can see all that stuff. Go to our link tree and you'll see all the links to the other various social media sites. So be sure and check those out. We have picks going up daily. Put the golf picks up there usually every Wednesday for Thursday tee off. Get Sam's racing picks, which the good news is we have our beautiful computer compliments of Frizzy over in Bel Air. They put together an incredible machine for us there with our logo on it and everything. You'll be able to see that. Jub put it on the Instagram page as well, so you can check that out. It's gorgeous. It's high-powered. We're recording on the computer right now, and then next week we're going to be able to have Sam Skype in with his racing picks. He'll be joining us in the last segment of the show for the rest of the year, hopefully, to get his rundown of mostly racing, but we'll ask him his opinions on some of the other hot sports things going on that weekend from a betting standpoint. So anyway, back to Chris. 4-1 on the weekend last week with some winners in college basketball, XFL, UFC, and then you almost got Chris Bell missed by a spot, so you almost swept the board there. You kept us afloat. We were down on the week, about 5.8 units. Coach, a bad week. Myself, not very good at all. Sam did well in the Cup race, not so great in Xfinity, but some late wrecks there kind of cost him. Coach and I both had golfers in contention. We couldn't quite get there. I had two guys in the top 5, right there. Victor Hovland was outstanding. A couple other guys that were right in the mix. So we're going to talk golf. We're going to mainly focus on college basketball here today. That's where we're going to go first. Last night, the Pitt Panthers get the job done, 60-59, as they win and cover outright. Game stays under. Both games stayed under last night. And then Texas A&M Corpus Christi. A 3.5-point opener, finished around 4.5. You could have got it anywhere in that range. I saw different books, so depends on the number you got. As A&M Corpus Christi misses a free throw late, they made one of two to get to 4. So if you had 4.5, you're out of luck. If you had 3.5, you're in good shape. If you had 4, you got to push. So chances are, if you had that game, you might have been able to win all the way around. So congrats to you if you did that. I was fortunate to have them minus 3.5. I did have Mississippi State, so that was a loser. Champ, you had a heck of a night last night. 4-0, I heard from Mark Delbrook. He said 4-0.
Yes, I did. I tried to tell Mark who I played, and you know, he don't pay attention to me anyhow, so it don't matter.
Well, yeah, but he'll ask you who you like, and then you tell him, then he does the opposite.
He puts the pressure on. He said you tried to talk him out of Pitt.
No.
You liked Pitt? You had Pitt, yeah. So I don't know what he was saying then. I must have got bad information.
Oh, he was floating away in space. You know how that goes.
Was he drinking beer last night?
Well, what do you think?
Oh, for that meeting?
Yeah,
that
meeting,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, Champ 4-0 last night, so we're hoping that his hot streak continues into the weekend. We're going to get his opinions on the brackets here momentarily. Chris, thoughts on the games last night? Anything stand out to you from those two? Both games are actually somewhat entertaining. The first game littered with fouls. That Southeast Missouri State fouled like every play.
Well, Matt, I hate to say this. I didn't check them out because my streaming service doesn't carry TNT.
Well, they weren't on TNT. They were on True TV.
Well, I don't get that
So you don't get any of these.
No.
So chances are you'll never see a game.
Listen, anything that begins with a T. True, Turner, TBS, TNT.
Yeah, so all three. Jeez, boy, oh boy.
So I'm
You're going to have to be at a bar. Or somewhere,
At least, so anyway. So I
send Chris, somebody who watches the show out there, send Chris your CBS or Paramount ID so he can log in and watch the games over the weekend. Contact at thepineroom.podcast.com. Help a guy out.
Is that Paramount? You can do it.
CBS is owned by Paramount, so yeah. You mean Paramount Plus, and then they have an actual March Madness there's like an app for that as well, so you can watch them on there too. So all right, well, Chris didn't get to see much.
I did.
So okay, so we're going back to the drawing board.
Yes.
So Champ, what did you think last night? Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I know they kind of had you kind of pissed off a few times.
Well,
they were struggling to cover.
They did. They couldn't make their foul shots, and they were struggling going down the court and throwing the ball away. And
And Champ, how often is that? That's crucial, isn't it? Making foul shots,
and
that angers you because it's a free shot.
And there's another thing I don't like is somebody fouling somebody doing a 3-pointer.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's the worst of them all.
Yep. Then you give a guy 3 free shots. Just ridiculous. That's how you lose games.
And usually the guy that's shooting for a 3-pointer can make them, so he's going to probably make all 3 foul shots.
Yeah, but you have to, like, way past the ball instead of making contact with him.
Yeah, we've been there, Matt, with him. He gets upset.
He gets very frustrated with too many 3-pointers and bad free throw shooting are his 2 pet peeves. So if you ever play basketball for Coach Kettlewell, you better sharpen up on that.
Or the one other thing about that, if you're playing for Coach Kettlewell, he's going to kick the field goal in football. Don't leave the.
He might kick it on 3rd down. Well, anyway. I can't wait to get his picks here as we get into the bracket. All right, so my observations last night weren't much. I don't think any of those teams were great. The games weren't horrible, so I didn't mind watching them. A couple interesting tidbits here as we head into. We're just going to go region by region. I'm going to get some of these guys' opinions on who might be the hot team to watch out for. Quickly, the Mountain West, 21-53 straight up since 2000. And actually, that's wrong. That's 2001. I had 2021. I typed 2001. They'd have had a lot of teams in if it was just the last 2 years. Anyway, Mountain West has been horrible in conference NCAA tournament play. They're 0-9 their last 9 straight up. So Mountain West teams maybe a fade here. Pitt cheats death last night. Pitt was the first team. The prior were 0-348 to be out-rebounded, score 60 or less points, shoot under 35% from the floor and under 60% from the free throw line and win a tournament game. And I believe that was since 01 as well. How? But what's that say about Mississippi State?
Jeez Louise. Under 35%. Jeez. From the floor.
They did absolutely nothing well at all. Out-rebounded. Barely scored. They hit 60 on the dot, under 35 from the floor, and under 60 from the free throw line, and still won.
0-348.
Yeah. So it had to happen.
Yeah.
You know what Champ says? Yep, the stats don't lie, and eventually every dog has its day.
Yeah.
And then Iowa's Fran McCaffrey has never advanced past the first weekend in 6 tries as Iowa head coach. So
I want to talk about it.
So don't count Fran in for next weekend. He might win a first-round game, and then he usually gets his ass beat on Saturday or Sunday. So that guy's kind of a nut job now. He's always yelling at the officials and acting like a buffoon. So I'm all fine with yelling at officials, but not all the time. I mean, you got to be sensible for once in a while. A couple other things. Massachusetts launches sports betting apps this week. Huge week for them, right in time for the March Madness tournament. And then this note will definitely interest Mr. Kettlewell here. Some of the states, Colorado and Michigan most notably, are talking with the WWE about making professional wrestling legal to bet on in their states.
Come on.
Yeah, and they said that people would sign NDAs and the scripted matches wouldn't be revealed. Now, they do let you bet this stuff offshore, so I think it's fine with small limits. I think it'll be great. We'll never get it here in West Virginia, unfortunately. I'm going to have to talk to some lawmakers because that'd be awesome to have bet on WrestleMania over at the track.
It's just with the wrestling, though, there's just so many ways these matches end. I mean, a guy gets counted out because he used a foreign object.
Right. Yeah. No, I know. You'd have to have a lot of house rules about how they actually, like, I know when I've bet them offshore before, it was the bet is cashed for whoever the guy's arm gets raised at the end. And then whatever happens or however it works. No holds barred, basically. But there's different ones that have that. Like, if it's a disqualification, it's a refund. So, if it was a double count out or something like that.
Well, but he would, if he was still active wrestler, he'd bet Ric Flair every match.
Can you imagine him scouring the wrestling? Like, if I put out the sheets for wrestling matches, like WrestleMania 39, and here he's going down through them all.
That's interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah, they're just talking about it right now. I know Michigan and Colorado were a couple of the states that now Colorado legislature came out and said they would never allow that, but what do they know? Politicians are a bunch of crooks anyway, except for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, let's jump into the bracket right now. I know this is what everybody's been waiting for. Now this show will air on Friday, but I'm going to put Champ's picks and Chris's picks up on social media. I got some from Mark as well, so we'll have you covered before the tournament starts. That way you can win your millions. I don't want anybody to miss out on this potential lucrative, incredible endeavor here. So I'm going to grab my empty bracket here as I. All right, let's see if this is the one here. Yes, all right, because I want to fill these in as we go. So, all right, let's begin now.
Now, when you say picks, are you just talking about our bracket picks, or you mean with the lines and everything?
No,
Both. But,
Okay.
No,
but bracket mostly.
Okay.
Because I mean, right now if you have some games, if you want to look at anything Thursday, Friday you like, but we'll see. All right, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk bracket first. Let's talk big picture. Let's talk who might be dangerous going deep in this tournament. All right, starting in the South region, Alabama, the number 1 seed here. They will take on the winner of last night's game, which was the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Crusaders. No, the Islanders, actually. So they obviously, I don't think anybody's going to be going against Alabama in this spot. Now, all right, let's get to the game. The first game on the docket tomorrow, Champ. Maryland and West Virginia. Anxious to get your interest.
Okay, now this is the way I felt about it. I wanted Maryland to win this game. And I thought to myself, I said, Huggins, I said, I want WVU to win, see what Huggins is going to do with Alabama. So I took WVU.
Okay, so Champ is going to be on WVU. You're going to take him minus the 2 points, Champ? Is that your plan?
-2.
Okay. Chris, thoughts on that game, and then just even advancing further, talk about Alabama versus the winner of that game.
With West Virginia, Maryland, I think that'll be a what they call it, a slobber knocker. I mean, both teams are physical. West Virginia is not graced with elite offensive talent, so you know how they play. They play defense in your face. They rebound, and they struggle to score sometimes. But I picked Maryland, Matt.
Okay, so is there any shot? Do either of you think that the winner of that Alabama-West Virginia game can challenge Alabama at all?
I'll put it this way: it's like WVU playing Alabama is like the PT-109 trying to sink a battleship. You know what I mean?
See, that's the wisdom we can only get from him.
Exactly.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Well, Matt, on my bracket, I put Maryland to beat Alabama. So
okay, all right. Chris is saying there's a chance. All right,
and I'm not changing it. So
okay,
I'm going to go.
So let's drop down to the next tier of the bracket here: San Diego State and Charleston, and Virginia versus Furman. How do you see things shaking out there, Champ?
I like Charleston for this one game.
Okay,
and I took Virginia on the next game.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I think Charleston. Them against San Diego State's a pretty intriguing matchup.
It is.
I know
big contrast of styles.
I think San Diego's a big defensive team. They slow it down. Charleston, they play wild. They create a lot of havoc. And they like to play up tempo. But I did pick Charleston.
We'll all be pulling for Charleston. Obviously, for those of you who watch any of our Pine Room content or listen to our show on WKKX, we're Dalton Bolin, friend of the show, former West Liberty guy, playing the leading guy down there at Charleston. So hopefully he can carry them at least into the second round. I think that'd be really cool if they get to eventually match up with the winner of Virginia and Furman, and then possibly take on Alabama. All right, let's go down a little bit further. Then we got Creighton, NC State, Baylor, UC, Santa Barbara. Champ, what are you thinking in those two games?
Some people like North Carolina State, but I took Creighton.
Okay.
And the other game, Baylor, I took them.
Okay.
Did we skip Virginia Furman?
Oh no, go. Well, I mean, we did mention that, but
okay.
Did you like anything? Like, do you see either Virginia or Furman being able to beat Charleston, or
I got Virginia advancing barely in the first game, and then I have them beating Charleston.
Okay.
So moving on.
All right, so what do you think about those matchups there, Chris? Creighton, NC State, and then Baylor. Champ's going with Creighton and Baylor. And what are your thoughts on that one?
I'm gonna take both higher seeds here. Although the Creighton and NC State matchup just does absolutely nothing for me. I mean, it seems like
I'm not a Creighton backer,
and it looks like they both teams got a couple big guys in the middle.
I will be playing Creighton in that game, but not by choice. I mean, I just think NC State's absolutely terrible. I don't think they should even be in the tournament.
And I got
Baylor.
I got Creighton to win. Baylor to win as well. Although they're playing like crap. They're 2-4 in their last 6, and I don't know. I mean, 4 teams have beaten 3 before, but I do have Baylor in this one against Santa Barbara.
Okay, let's go down a little bit further to the bottom part of the bracket. We got Missouri and Utah State in a game that I think is going to be a great game, and then Arizona versus Princeton. I will say this: Arizona in this matchup, I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. I think they'll destroy Princeton. I think it'll be really, really ugly. That's one of the few games with a point spread of that size that I feel comfortable about. Champ, thoughts on Missouri, Utah State, or Arizona, Princeton?
Utah State, and then
Utah State.
And I agree with you about Arizona.
Okay, good. I feel better about my pick now. Chris, what are you thinking in those 7-10 and the 2-15 game?
I agree totally with you on Arizona because I have them advancing very far. And I even had it marked on here that the Missouri-Utah State game. I think that's going to be a really exciting up-and-down game. I mean, both teams average over 9 three-pointers made a game, although Missouri allows opponents to shoot 35% from three-point range. So it looks like this game could be up and down, back and forth, and that's tomorrow at 1:40. So that's going to be a good one. I pick Missouri, though.
Okay. I like Missouri just barely, but those were 2 teams that I really liked that I was going to have going pretty deep in this tournament. Of course, they play each other. All right, so let's go out a little bit further then. Champ, who's your South Region champion? Are you leaning with Alabama the whole way, or do you think any of the teams out of the bottom, Arizona, Missouri, Creighton?
We have to look down at this. I already got my first picks,
right?
I haven't gone to the next ones yet.
All right. Well, you see anybody being able to knock Alabama out up there, or do you think that's going to be tough?
Alabama in the South, I think Alabama has it all the way.
Right. I would tend to agree with you. I think it's going to be tough for them. I thought that region, maybe Arizona if they can get by, but I think the winner of Missouri-Utah State gives Arizona some trouble too. So we'll see. Chris, what are your thoughts in the South region? Who did you end up going with as your selection?
Well, for whatever reason, I have Alabama losing in the second round. So I have I have it all the way out to Virginia and Arizona in the South region final, and Arizona advancing.
Okay.
I just think Arizona's...
they got the front line. If their guard play holds up,
so I got Arizona from the South.
All right, so Champ on Bama, Chris on Arizona, and I agree with Champ. I'm leaning towards Alabama there just because I think but I agree with Chris in a way. I think it could easily be Alabama, Arizona in the regional final. So, all right, let's drop down to the East. Purdue, Champ's boy Lurch and the Boilermakers taking on the winner of Fairleigh Dickinson and Texas Southern, which will be played tonight as we record on Wednesday. And then they will battle the winner of a great 8-9 game, Memphis and Florida Atlantic, a game I'm looking forward to. Champ, obviously Purdue is going to win their first.
Purdue.
Right, Rod Purdue.
And then I have Memphis.
Okay, you like Memphis. I think that's a strong pick. I think both them and Florida Atlantic, whoever wins that game, is going to be pretty tough to beat. But, Chris, what do you think? Purdue, obviously, and then what do you like in Memphis and Florida Atlantic?
I have it's a good 8-9 matchup, but I have Florida Atlantic advancing.
Okay, FAU.
Yep,
Chris,
FAU
Chris
and
on
Purdue
FAU
on those two.
Hey, they do have a better record through the year, but it's the...
You were impressed, though, with Memphis the other day against Houston, remember? You said, wow, they look good, because you had Houston, remember, on Sunday?
And Champ, this is their Florida Atlantic's first bid since 2002.
Florida Atlantic Owls.
So, yeah, so...
Okay, all right.
That's who I like.
Let's drop down to the middle of this bracket. This will be in Orlando. Duke and Oral Roberts, and Tennessee and Louisiana. Duke Oral Roberts, Champ, good game.
I'll tell you what, I think Oral Roberts, I'm going with them out one time.
Okay.
I hope you're right. God, I hope you're right.
And how do you feel about Tennessee and Louisiana?
I went with Tennessee.
Okay. Tennessee's got a good defense. They're going to be tough to beat. Chris, what are your thoughts? Duke, Oral Roberts, Tennessee, Louisiana?
I have Duke. I mean, Oral Roberts does have the longest winning streak in the nation.
Right.
But no, I just think Duke's too good. And they, I think they've won like 9 straight, I think.
Yes.
So I got Duke advancing, and then
Tennessee?
Yes. I think this is going to be a great game, too. I took Tennessee, though. I took Tennessee.
I think Louisiana's all right.
Tennessee struggles to score, but they do play defense.
If Louisiana can shoot it at all, they'll be in the game. All right, dropping down to the next tier, the 6-11 matchup, Kentucky and Providence, Kansas State and Montana State. Now, this, I mentioned about Arizona and my thoughts about how they're going to hammer Princeton. I would say this is my next most confident blowout right here. Kansas State over Montana State. Big Sky has really been bad in these NCAA tournaments. Montana State got beat by 30 last year, and I had them. I picked them. I'm not getting burned again. That Big Sky can't keep up with these teams. K-State rolls.
Totally agree, because I was on here that Montana State played at Arizona and Oregon and got beat by 21 and 30. So they've won 14 and 15, but again, that's not the
Champ.
They're not ready for this.
Exactly, Champ. You thinking Kansas State takes care of business?
Yeah, I have Kansas State, and I have Kentucky.
Okay, all right, Chris. What are your thoughts on?
That's interesting. That Kentucky matchup. That the Bryce Hopkins played at Kentucky last year, didn't he? The kid from Providence.
Yes, one of their best guys.
So he could be. I'm sure he's motivated, but I just think with Kentucky's big guy, I have them advancing.
I see that there should be no way Kentucky loses this game, but I'll say this: I was down on Providence last year, and they totally. I thought their season was over. They played an awful Big East tournament. They were uninspired. They looked terrible. I can't even believe they even made it as far as they did. But Ed Cooley somehow got them rallied last year for them to make a run. I think if Kentucky gets by this game, I think they can do some serious damage. Worries me a little. I don't think I can bet Kentucky on the spread, but I will be choosing them in my bracket.
They talk, too, about just the pressure that Calipari, I mean,
he's righted it a little bit because early in the season they were ready to run him out of town. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But if they lose it couldn't happen to a better coach.
Yeah, I don't really dislike him as much as everyone else. He's okay. A great recruiter, not a great XO coach.
Right.
But all right, let's go down to the bottom of the bracket here in the East. Michigan State, USC, Marquette, Vermont. Champ, thoughts on Michigan State, USC?
I like Michigan State here.
Okay, your boy Tom Izzo.
And I like Marquette in the next game against Vermont.
Okay. Chris?
Yes, same thing. I think with Izzo, that's 25 straight years now he's made. He's battle tested. He's got that pedigree. I like him. They got a good guard, Tyson Walker. And my cousin also, Doug Wojcik, is on his staff. Been up there for a long time. So I'm definitely going with Michigan State, and Marquette should have zero problems with Vermont. So I have both of those.
I would say no, unless they have a massive hangover from their performance in the Big East. I thought USC was a little interesting. If they were somehow to keep this game close against Michigan State, I think the Pac-12 is a little bit better than people think it is. Because I like UCLA, I like Arizona. I thought USC gives Michigan State a good game, but I agree the Izzo factor might be too much, and Sparty probably pulls it out briefly. But if the Trojans could get by there, my Miami Hurricanes played them in the first round last year, and it was the toughest game that we had until we lost to Kansas. It was really a game we could have lost. USC played pretty good, so we'll see. Should be that's another game I'm looking forward to watching. Michigan State was not very good in the Big Ten tournament, so I'd expect them to be a lot better. All right, last closing thoughts on the East bracket. Champ, if you have to make a pick today, I know it's early and you like to study the numbers and everything. Right. Purdue, Marquette, who's your top horse here in this one? Kentucky?
I'll tell you what. This is a top one.
It is. It is the toughest bracket, I think.
It's the toughest bracket.
I thought the West was the toughest, but I think the East is close.
Well,
hey, there's Marquette down here.
Yeah.
And you have Purdue up here, and
you got Kentucky in the middle.
Kentucky and
Duke and Tennessee. That's a tough one.
This is a tough one right here.
It is. So all right,
but I do believe Purdue. Will do it.
You're taking them to go to to win the East, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going with Lurch. He can't go against Lurch.
I can't go against Lurch.
Chris, if you have to make your pick here.
Well, this is almost set in stone. So I picked Duke and Marquette to play in the East Final, and then Marquette's going to beat them. So on this side of the bracket, I'm going to have Arizona up top and Marquette on the bottom for those two are the first two entries into the Final Four.
Okay. I had a hard time with this bracket. I agree. I thought the West actually had the better teams, but I agree this one was very hard to pick for me because I could make a case for several teams in there. Sadly enough, Duke is one of them. I hope they lose the first round, but I kind of thought if Kentucky could get by Providence, they're going to be hard to beat, but I agree. Marquette's playing great basketball. I can't really ever count Lurch out. I think Florida Atlantic's dangerous in the top 2 if they could somehow win against Memphis. But I think Memphis could make the Final Four. I can make a case for just about anyone. I ended up going with Kentucky just by default. And so I don't love the pick, but we'll see how it shakes out. I think there's going to be a lot of bad brackets down there in the East. So that might be where a lot of brackets die, because it's going to be tricky.
Well, and it's just nice, too, and we've said this before, even go back to last year, it's nice knowing that there's a hell of a lot of teams now that at least have a chance that can get to the Elite Eight and Final Four. And it's just not the same blue bloods every single year that we're talking about.
No, and you notice that in the point spreads, too. 1 seeds used to be laying in the high 30s in these games, and they're just not doing that anymore. So that's a good sign. I like that a lot. Let's see, just looking at these numbers here. Alabama, let's see, I was looking at them to win their region. Let's see. All right, Chris, you had Marquette. So Marquette, you can get Marquette plus 390 to win the East region. You can get Purdue plus 220. That was Champ's pick. And then I went with Kentucky by default. 12-1 on Kentucky. I love to catch that, but I don't think that'll happen. And then let's see, where do we start at? Up in the South. So just to go over these odds really quickly before we jump to the next region, we had Arizona plus 350 to win that one, and Alabama plus 160. So those both decent prices. So jump on these, be shopping around. You can get good odds on different books. You can lock in the best price you got. All right, let's jump up to Midwest. Houston, champs Houston Cougars against Northern Kentucky Norse. That'll probably be a slaughter. Although, check the availability of Sasser, the top player for...
Yeah, what are they saying about him?
He's got a bad groin, right, Champ? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, but I think he'll be ready.
Well, they can afford to rest him in the first game. But, that'll be... what is the line on that one, Matt? Because I don't... 19 and a half.
19 and a half, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know about this, but yeah, obviously I don't think anybody has Northern Kentucky winning this game. So
most likely not.
Go Cougars.
All right, so Houston gets out of there pretty easily. All right, this game right here, battle of two teams that I think suck and probably shouldn't even be in here. I ended up choosing Auburn just by default. Champ, where are you going, Iowa or Auburn?
Iowa.
Okay, Champ on Iowa.
I got Auburn. They were talking about these two clown coaches. Just their annex on the sideline.
Well, I said McCaffrey 0-6 to get to the following weekend, but Champ's on Iowa. His Big Ten, he's full watches a lot of Big Ten, so he should know what Iowa's strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, I took Auburn.
Okay, I'm with Auburn as well. All right, Miami, Drake, Indiana, Kent State. Two interesting games. Miami without O'Meara probably in this game. If not, he's not going to be 100%, which is a huge loss. I thought Miami would win this game easily if he played, but not so sure now. Champ, thoughts on Miami versus Drake?
Well, I didn't know that.
The big guys
was hurt,
yeah.
But I took Miami and I took Kent State.
Okay, well, I love that pick, Kent State. Love it. That's a great pick. Boy, you're on top of your game today.
No,
Chris?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Because I took to Miami advance. I did take Indiana, but I have this marked as a possible upset because Kent lost at Houston by 5 and lost to Gonzaga by 7 on the road.
Yes.
And they're just...
Very good performances.
Yeah, and so... and they have two seniors, two guards, so they've been around, they're experienced. So I still picked Indiana, but if Kent State wins this game, I would not be surprised.
Exactly.
So should be a good one.
All right, on to the 6-11 Iowa State versus last night's winner Pitt, and then Xavier and Kennesaw State, the Owls, making the tournament for the first time. Pitt, Champ, got the job done last night. Do you think they have anything for Iowa State?
I really couldn't tell you that one.
What's the line on that, Matt? Is it?
I think it's 4. I think Iowa State's -4.
Well,
I mean, it just came out today, so I didn't know if I have it on here.
Well, I originally had Iowa State, but I think I might switch that to Pitt. I just think Iowa State stinks.
-4 Iowa State.
Even Loud had said that Iowa was one of the worst 6 seeds in the history of this tournament.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of weak seeds this year, a lot of bad teams. They could reduce this down to 32 from my liking, but I really don't know. I mean, Pitt's so Jekyll and Hyde. They played terrible last night and still won. They played absolutely horrible against Duke and got beat by 30, so I don't know what to make of it. Iowa State's a team that I think is good at home, but I don't trust them on a neutral site in Greensboro.
I do have Mississippi State and Xavier
Well, Mississippi State, remember, they got beat last night by Pitt. So that'll be that's Pitt.
Pitt.
Yeah, you
I
got Pitt.
Right. And then Xavier.
Yep. All right. So he's on Xavier.
Oh, so you're taking Pitt.
Yeah, he's going with the Pitt Panthers and then Xavier.
Over Kennesaw.
You think Xavier rolls over Kennesaw, Chris?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think
thought
Xavier's
Kennesaw
pretty good.
I do too. I was disappointed with their championship game performance against Marquette.
Well, and good on Kennesaw State. I saw that 3 years ago they were 1-28.
Yeah, they're old D2 school, so I'll be siding with them. I'm going to be betting Kennesaw State in that game, plus their points. But I don't know if the Owls have enough to be able to win that game, but they shoot the three well enough that I think maybe that they can cover the 11.5 or 12. So we'll take a shot there with the Owls. All right, dropping down to the bottom here. Another game that I think is great. Another two teams that I was going to maybe be high on, got to play each other. Texas A&M and Penn State. Texas versus Colgate. I think A&M's a really good defensive team, a little offensively challenged, but I think they can make a deep run. And Penn State's guard play is exceptional. Not much inside. They had a good run against Purdue all the way to the finals of the Big Ten tournament. Yep. Champ, thoughts on Texas A&M and Penn State?
Texas and A&M should do it, and they're going to play Texas.
Okay. Oh, that's a big rivalry, huh?
Yes.
That's going to be a huge rivalry.
Yeah.
Well, the Midwest has 3 Texas teams in it, so it's got a Texas feel to it. I agree. I think this is really going to be a good matchup. Both the A&M and Penn State are both really hot right now. I have A&M in the game, however. I got them actually making a pretty good run in this tournament. So I'm going to go with A&M. That's Buzz Williams, right?
Yes.
I like him. And
they play defense, which is something that I like to see this time of year.
And I got Texas versus Colgate, although Colgate does shoot 40% from 3.
Oh yeah, the best 3-point shooting team in the field.
And they protect the ball, and you never know. I mean, I know it's a 2 versus 15, but
now Colgate will execute. It's a matter of how athletic can they be and be able to get open shots against Texas, because Texas has some superior talent on offense.
Yes, but I do have Texas advancing.
Yeah, Texas was a team that I bet way back to they were whenever we started talking about college basketball. We were down the hall in the old studio when we were coming in from the outdoors. I had some bets on Texas, but then their coach, that old fiasco with Chris Beard, so then I kind of got off them. I don't like their defense right now. I think they're good enough talent-wise to make it to the Final Four for sure. And a matter of fact, I could see them doing that in this region. Where do you guys go, Champ? Does Houston take care of business here? Or do you like Texas? Do you like Xavier? Who's some of your teams you like in the Midwest region to come out?
I like Houston.
Okay.
Boy, Champ, you're going 3 number 1 so far.
He knows where the good
I'm not being critical. He wins more than I do.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
He does.
This guy's a pro, Chris. He studies it every day. All right, who's your team out of the top up there, Chris? Midwest.
Matt, I had A&M all the way advancing to the Midwest final down on the bottom part of that bracket. And I have Houston as well, but I have A&M winning that.
I can see that.
I mean, they're 25-9. I think they're well coached. So I have them beating Houston in the Midwest final.
Great. Yep, that's a good one. My heart says Miami. I'd love to see if they were healthy. I think they'd have a really good chance. I think they match up really good with Houston, but they'll have a hard time even beating Drake now, and then Houston will probably take care of them. I thought Kent State could do a little damage in there. I thought they could run out a little bit. Down at the bottom, I think Texas is the most talented team, but I love the way Texas A&M is playing right now. I'd say whoever wins that game, Texas A&M and Texas, probably advances out of there. I would probably slightly lean to A&M, but I don't know. We'll see. I haven't made my final decisions on that yet, but you can get some decent value on those if you shop around and look. Let's see here. Where is Texas at? All right, Texas right now to win their region 3-1, not bad. And then Texas A&M 15-1, outstanding price on them. Houston comes in at plus 120, so you're still getting plus money on Champ's pick of Houston. Never a bad thing. Houston definitely defends well enough to make it to the Final Four, and I think they'll be a very hot pick. All right, let's drop down to the West bracket here. Kansas and Howard and Arkansas, Illinois. Champ, Arkansas, Illinois, really good matchup. I imagine you're going with Kansas against Howard. They're probably going to crush them.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody would take Howard.
Probably not.
They haven't been there since '92.
Yeah, Arkansas, Illinois, Champ. Good game there. Who you like?
Illinois.
Okay, Champ. Boy, he really. This guy knows about the Big Ten. He's very into the Big Ten. He knows his stuff. Chris, where'd you fall
I think that 8-9 matchup is going to be really good. I think. I mean, both teams are very, inconsistent. Illinois is 4-6 of their last 10, and I think Arkansas is 1-4. Illinois has beaten UCLA, Texas, and Arkansas beat Kentucky. But I picked. Wait, who did I pick? I believe I picked Arkansas. Yes, I got Arkansas to win that game.
I went with Arkansas too. I think Arkansas has a shot of beating Kansas in the next round. I don't know if Illinois can, but Arkansas, well coached, Eric Musselman. It's weird there. Their team they always struggle to score, which is always a problem. But if you can't score, you can't win. But you got to be able to play defense too. So. I'm going to go with Arkansas. All right, St. Mary's VCU, UConn and Iona. UConn taking a lot of interest from people. I think the VCU-St. Mary's game, great matchup. St. Mary's,
it is.
Strong conference performance. They beat Gonzaga once, lost to him in the final. Then VCU got hot, won the Atlantic 10 champ. St. Mary's or Virginia Commonwealth?
Boy, I tell you what, that's tough. I took VCU.
Okay.
They got a 12 beating a 5 then.
And UConn.
Okay, and I like that too. All right, champ on VCU and UConn. Chris, where'd you come down there?
Matt, I went with St. Mary's, and I think that will be an entertaining game.
Right.
They'll beat VCU, and I certainly hope UConn beats
Pitino?
Rick Pitino, yeah. I mean, this is like the one game with like the coaching matchup, with UConn as Dan Hurley and
right.
And Pitino. I didn't realize Pitino's 70 already.
Yeah, he's going to be going to St. John's next year.
So I don't know how that affects. Is that official? I
don't think it could be official because he's.
But not official. But I mean,
it sounds like it.
Yeah, these guys are freaking whores, man. They'll go anywhere. But anyway, I got UConn to beat Iona.
All right, let's go down. TCU versus the winner of tonight's game, Arizona State and Nevada. Now, Champ, you told me on the way over that you had Arizona State tonight in that game. Do you think they give anything to TCU, or do you think TCU takes care of them there?
I'll tell you, that was a hard one.
Let's see.
Maybe TCU can win it, but
tough game though, huh?
Arizona State, don't leave them out.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do tonight.
I think that Arizona State. They play Nevada tonight, right?
Right.
Okay, so if Arizona wins it, I might take Arizona State. On my bracket, I have TCU, but I don't know. I like Arizona a little bit.
Yeah, I'll take Arizona State probably in that game. I'm a little more pro Pac-12 than most people. I know that's surprising, but I do think their league is pretty good. Gonzaga and Grand Canyon, I'm assuming Gonzaga takes care of business here. They're a very, very good proven team, so I don't think any of us is going to be picking Grand Canyon there.
No.
Grand Canyon, nice to get the trip to Denver. So enjoy your time. All right, Northwestern and Boise State. Boy, I thought it was a tough game. Mountain West teams struggle. Champ, you on Northwestern?
Yes, I have them.
All right, that's probably a good pick. That's where I'm going to go as well. I don't trust Boise State in a big game. Chris, what did you think?
I think this will be a close game. They're saying that Boise and Northwestern,
low scoring,
and they've played the multiple overtime games. So that should be a good matchup. But I do have Chris Collins and Northwestern advancing.
Tommy's favorite coach,
yes,
Chris Collins. All right, and then down to the bottom of the bracket, a team that I jumped on after Texas had their problems. So I started a bet on UCLA to make a deep run, and then they had a problem. Their top defensive player and their second leading scorer gets hurt and's out for the year. I still think they're a good team. I still think they're going to obviously beat UNC Asheville here. Champ, do you think UCLA takes care of business in the first round?
All right. They'll do all right.
All right, so let's get down to it. I thought this bracket was hard. Kansas, UConn, Gonzaga, UCLA. Those are four tough teams. My opinion is it comes between whoever wins between Gonzaga and UCLA is who I'll be siding with. Champ, what are your thoughts on the West region?
Gonzaga, of course, and those two ought to be.
Who do you think goes further between UConn and Kansas if you had to make a pick?
I think Kansas.
Okay. So you kind of got maybe a Kansas-Gonzaga regional final then.
No, and he's probably seen Kansas more than he has UConn.
I guarantee
because they're on TV a lot more, and he studies that, so he knows.
Yeah,
man, on the bottom of that bracket, I have UCLA beat Northwestern and advancing to play Gonzaga, and I probably would have taken UCLA if it wasn't for the injuries.
Yeah, me too.
I mean...
something tells me Gonzaga's going to make a deep run this year when no one's talking about them. But I'm going to still probably go with because the worst thing you can do as a bettor is change your opinion, even if you have. Because UCLA is still good enough. They could probably still make it far. I'm not sure they can get over the hump, but I'm going to probably still take them to come out of that region. Chris, who did you end up settling on to win the West?
Well, in the Sweet 16, I have Kansas to meet UConn, and I have Kansas will beat them, and they'll match up against Gonzaga, who will beat UCLA. And I have the Jayhawks advancing over Gonzaga to win the West.
Okay. Well, it's hard to argue with those picks, guys, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Does George have the number 1 again? Did he take Kansas?
No, he took Gonzaga out of that region. So he went to number 3. So yeah, 3 1s and a 3 for Champ. And Chris, you went with a 2, a 2, a
7,
1,
I think,
and a 7.
Yeah, A&M's my
2,
lowest
2, 1,
one.
7. And mine, I went with a 1, a 6, a 2, and a 7. So, all right.
It's wide open, George.
Yeah, wide open.
Okay.
Tons of action. We're going to take a break here on Bettor's Last Stand, regroup, let Champ get another cold beverage as he stretches his pins, and we'll be right back to talk a little bit more about, let's see, what's on golf, little hockey. We're not going to spend too much time on this stuff, but I want to talk about baseball as well, WBC. So we'll be right back on Bettor's Last Stand.
Reminder, Bettor's Last Stand is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. You're watching Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand. Chris, Matt, and of course, the one, the only, professional handicapper and analyst, George Kettlewell, Pine Room's favorite uncle. He's like the godfather of the Pine Room. Yeah, Uncle Fester. All right, so we left you with our Final Fours, our loosely crafted Final Fours. Now it comes down to say who's going to win it all. And we're going to go to the guy right here who really is almost as good at college basketball as he is at baseball. MLB baseball is his best, and he's getting ready for that right now, geared up for, been scouting World Baseball Classic and all that stuff. Spring training, Pirates are on today. He was watching
and they're
astutely.
getting their ass kicked.
Again?
Yes.
Gee.
Yeah.
All right, Champ. So you had a Final Four of Alabama, Purdue, Houston, and Gonzaga. Where did you figure it out? Who wins between Bama and Purdue first?
Purdue's going to do it.
Okay.
And you know who's they're going to play?
Who are they going to play?
Houston.
Purdue versus Houston. And who wins it?
And who wins it, huh?
We'll get back to you, right?
All right, Chris, go ahead and give us your champions.
Well, I want Purdue to win.
All right, Champ is with Purdue.
Oh, he's going with Lurch.
The Boilers and Lurch. He's been on Lurch for a couple years. Recognized his talent when he was a freshman. 7 foot.
Yeah, I remember when he talked about that guy for a long time now.
Yeah.
So he's sticking with him.
All right.
Yeah, so I got Marquette to advance to the final over Arizona. And sadly, I think that Texas A&M Aggies will their run will end. So I have Kansas beating them, and so Kansas and Marquette in the final, and I got the Marquette. What are they? The Golden
Eagles.
Golden Eagles to be national champs for the first time since I believe 1977.
Jeez,
when
yeah.
Al McGuire.
Well, you guys were
coaching.
around for that. I was not.
Right.
That was a few years before
Yes,
I
it
came
was.
about. So, yeah, okay,
So
I like
Marquette.
that.
That's a number 2, right? That's
Yeah,
a number,
Marquette.
Number 2 beating a number 1. So
All right, we'll go with it. All right, and I'm going to stick with my guns on this. I actually probably, going back in hindsight, I should make sure that I make Texas go to the finals. I should have Texas and UCLA matching up in the in that side of the bracket,
Right.
the West and the Midwest. I haven't decided on that, but I will have UCLA coming out, even though I think Gonzaga is going to be hard to beat. And then Texas and Texas A&M, I'm going to go with the winner of that game. I'm going to say it's maybe the Longhorns. So my Final Four, For the purpose of the show, I'm going to go with UCLA and Texas on the right side of the bracket, and then on the other side, I will be going with Alabama and Kentucky. Now, I actually was considering putting Florida Atlantic in there and USC. I also think Marquette is a strong team, but I'm going to go with my final is going to be Alabama versus UCLA, and I'm going with UCLA. And I don't love that pick by any means with the injury.
But I like you're sticking with them, though.
Yeah, I mean, because the worst thing you can do is change, and then they win, and then you're just pissed because you didn't stick with them.
Well, anybody that beats Alabama, what even
the gunman.
The gunman. Remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
The gunman. All right. Well, that concludes our bracket breakdown. Yeah. Let's jump into quickly. We're not gonna bore everybody with this. I know everybody's gonna be thinking about March Madness all week. Champ, feel free to intervene any way you want to. Chris, I just want to get your thoughts a little bit here on hockey. Vancouver Canucks, folks, 29-3. Yes, goal in the first 10 on the road. They're going on a road trip. Oh crap! Hang on, guys. My boss is calling me.
Okay. All right. Well, George, we can just sit here and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
No problem. What's up?
You bet any hockey?
No, I don't.
So you're basically football, baseball, and basketball, right?
Yeah.
But overall, what do you think you're best at?
I was pretty hot at picking the picks in baseball.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I tell you what, though, last night. You went 4-0 in college basketball.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a momentum that you got building for the tournament. So you're going to have a busy day tomorrow. You better get over there early tomorrow, right? Over to Matt's place.
11:30.
First game's at 12:15.
That's WVU in Maryland.
Are you going to watch it over there?
Oh, yeah.
Well, no. What about Becky? Is she going to be there?
Becky will be there.
Okay. All right. But yeah, so you really do you think W can win that game?
You know, a lot of people are taking Maryland, but I just want West Virginia against Alabama.
Who knows? I mean, obviously Alabama would be a huge favorite, well, not huge, but I mean, wouldn't that be great though if somehow the Mountaineers beat Maryland and they move and advance and play Alabama?
Beat them.
People would be going nuts. They'd be setting couches on fire again.
Again, still.
But I don't know. I think it would be it'd be fun. But you know what though, George? I'm looking at this bracket. WVU has the most losses of any team in this tournament. They have 14 losses.
I know.
And you've watched them. Maybe not every game, but there's several games where they look like dog shit. Just awful. And I was surprised that they even made the tournament.
I was really.
Did you think they deserved it?
Not really.
I didn't either. I mean, it wasn't. Even though they were 19, there were more downs than ups on that season, I thought. But I'd like.
The only time they won was at home.
Yeah,
they couldn't win away.
Yeah, and they beat somebody pretty good on Senior Day. Was it Kansas State? I think it was an afternoon game. But I think it might have been Kansas State, and they won. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, and
oh, I know it is. This bracket is a hard one.
It is.
Anybody can do it. Like Texas could do it.
Yeah, Matt's high on Texas.
I know.
They got a lot of good athletes. And I really did, and it's unfortunate UCLA has two guys out for the season because they're really good. They're good, but you know, it's tough to lose one guy. And the one kid was a player of the year defensively, and then the others, what do you say? They're leading scorer, second leading scorer. So that's pretty tough to overcome.
That is really,
if
Houston is healthy.
Yes, with that one kid, Marcus Sasser, the guard, I think.
I think he ought to be ready.
Yes. Well, let's see. Today is, Wednesday? So they play, I think they play tomorrow.
They play tomorrow evening?
Yes. So they won't need him. So then they could rest him.
I don't know.
They'll play again on Saturday. So
they
They don't need them. They don't need him against Northern Kentucky. I mean, they should handle them pretty well.
Right.
But Kansas too down there on the bottom against Howard, they'll have no problem with that.
No, they won't.
So now, will you bet every game? Because I know
I can't. I mean,
well, you couldn't keep track of all of them.
Just like I won 4 games yesterday, 2 in the NIT,
and then there's 2 playing games.
And tonight it was like, I don't know. I couldn't figure that out.
Well, you got a little bit lucky with Pitt, though, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
You know, sometimes, though, you said sometimes it's better be lucky than good.
Exactly. That's the way it is anymore.
Yeah. I know, but sometimes, though, when you lose a bet, and the way you lose the bet, it kind of affects your mood. You get pissed off.
Hey.
Well, you know why, though? Because it's and all the things you talked about earlier in this show.
Right.
That piss you off, and you know what it is? It's fundamentals.
Fundamentals.
It's not. It's like we talked in golf before. When you tell us at that golf scramble, keep your head down and follow through. That's a fundamental thing.
Exactly, and I'm talking to George Dormus, and he played for Warwood and West Liberty, and he told me the coach told him there ain't nobody around you. There ain't nobody guarding you. All you have to do is follow through and make your foul shots.
Yeah, you're sitting there, you're standing there wide open. Hey, another fundamental we don't see anymore, Harley.
What?
Box on a rebound, nobody boxes out.
Oh, I know they don't.
I mean, when I was playing, or Coach Prosser, he'd always say, "Hey, when the ball goes up, you find your man, you put your body against him, and you box him out. If you don't box out, your ass is on the bench." Now, that was back in the day, but now it's like, and too much dribbling, fancy dribbling.
Oh, I tell you, when they
look like the fucking Globetrotters. I don't care.
I agree with you.
Just protect the ball.
Like move the ball around.
Oh, yes. Yeah, not as much team play.
No.
As there once was.
This guy dribbled the ball for 1 minute, and then...
then he jacks up some stupid shot.
Some dummy kind of...
Yeah, I always notice that sometimes when you lose a few of those bets, you would be mad because you kind of had the game won, and some dummy misses 2 foul shots or something.
Oh, I don't mind him.
I mean, they're not going to make them all.
Even like 1 for 1, but when they miss both of them, my God.
Yeah, I mean, hey, even Larry Bird missed a foul shot every now and then, Yeah. But I mean, hell, that was like I was just to a high school game today. The team that was playing Wheeling Central, I think down the stretch, the team, I think it was Bluefield, but Bluefield, they won the game, but Central was making a comeback because Bluefield kept missing foul shots. I think they missed 6 foul shots in a row. Central get the rebound, come down and hit a 3.
Exactly.
So if that lead wasn't as big, Central would have probably ended up winning the game, but they were just down too far. But you missed 6 foul shots in a row. Down the road, that's going to cost you a game.
It's just like, like golf.
Mm-hmm.
You get when you're on that golf course or on that green, you got to putt.
You eye it up, and sometimes the lines. But no, we're having good discussion here.
Hey,
Matt.
you have to 2-putt it. Don't go 3.
Oh no, I agree. But the minute you rush your putt or you lift your head, then you're probably not going to make it.
Oh, exactly.
All right, welcome back in Bettor's Last Stand.
Matt.
Sorry about the interruption there. Big day for me tomorrow work-wise. So had the boss checking in on some stuff we're doing for tomorrow. So, all right, Chris, I was talking about the Vancouver Canucks 29-3 on the road, goal in the first 10. Now they're beginning a road trip. I'm saying this again. You guys have heard me say this every week. They're starting a road trip on Thursday, Phoenix, LA, and Anaheim, so you might want to jump on those games, go in the first 10.
Well,
it's been a good...
2 of those 3 teams are lousy.
Yes, yeah, with LA being the exception.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, look for some goals early for those games to keep riding. 29-3. That's just not like a blip on the map. That's like a sustained trend. So Rick, talk it or not, it's not working for Vancouver defensively, and they can score some too. So you never know how you'll need the goal or get the goal. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Caps. Last week I said I love the Caps plus 110 to miss the playoffs. They're 7 points behind the Penguins. Who Chris, last night's game may have been the all-time low for the Penguins.
Yeah, and it just goes back to all those games that we've watched over the years where, although these guys, the older guys, are still picking up their points and they're playing well. The big three, Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. But to me, it was like the night before, Canadians got beat 8-4.
Right, pretty much humiliated
at home. They said they didn't get into Pittsburgh like 2 a.m. because once they cleared customs.
Penguins are home waiting on them.
And the Penguins are on a hot streak. They win or they go up 2-0, and I guarantee those fuckers probably thought this is going to be a piece of cake. We don't have to pay attention to detail. We don't really, we'll just blow this team out. And they got careless and to give up. Well, they were up 2-0. They gave up 4 straight. They never led again.
Never led again.
And their goaltending was just god-awful.
Abysmal. Champ would have been better in net than Jari. Champ, what are your thoughts on the Penguins? You've kind of been you're worried about them. I know you haven't bet them as much as you usually do.
I don't think the Penguins have it this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sadly,
on your little break there, Matt, he said he kind of stays away from the hockey out of the big 4 sports. Well,
I know he doesn't mess with NBA either.
I hate it.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I just mean
the
sports
actual
in general.
sport type, not the actual.
Basketball, football, and baseball.
Well, I hear the Bruins are the top.
They're really good.
Yeah,
the Bruins are dominating right now.
Yeah, they're very good, George. You're right.
Senators and Sabres, 2 teams that I liked the playoffs. I gave that a few weeks ago. They've not been playing well.
No,
both teams have been slumping badly. So keep an eye on those. We'll talk more hockey as we get closer to playoff time. It's getting down that stretch. I'm big on the LA Kings in the West. I really like them. I think they're a good team. I think they added some goaltending at the break, and they're a team I like out of the West. I don't trust Edmonton, and I mean Colorado would still be tough, but they're not nearly as deep as they were last year. So they're very beatable.
What, did they just lose guys? They
got Evan Rodriguez. They just couldn't sign everybody. Okay. I mean, they had a very deep team. Their lines just aren't as deep. So when you don't have that depth up the middle, it shows. And Carolina then lost one of their top wingers the other night. That's a big loss. Devils have been playing pretty good.
Is that their second guy out for the year now? Who was the first guy for Carolina? Good player. And then
Svechnikov.
He's out now.
He's good, but
he had like 55
points.
I'm
a little worried about Carolina now. They're starting to get
Devils
caught.
took them.
Yeah, Devils overtook
them.
They could be struggling. Goaltending wise, I don't think they're strong either. Bruins may have to contend with either Tampa or Toronto, and I don't think that. I think Tampa could get them, but I don't think Toronto can. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that as we get closer to NHL playoffs. It's right around the corner. Usually a sign when March Madness is here, you kind of start focusing on NHL right after that. So next thing to talk about real quickly is the Valspar golf this week. Champ, you talk a lot about golf. You're an ex-golfer yourself. You still get out time to time, but you don't usually bet it too much, do you?
No.
No, not much. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a few picks here that Coach gave out. Coach, let's see, Coach. He's big on his best bet is Tommy Fleetwood here at the Valspar. So we're at the Valspar. It's at Copperhead Course at Palm Harbor, Florida. Not a great field, very watered down. Last week, every good guy played last week, so I think a lot of them take the week off as we guys start to get their games shaped up for the Masters. So we'll get ready to tackle Copperhead. I didn't really love anything this week. Real quick, I'm going to give you Coach's plays. He's fading Sam Burns and Justin Thomas. Sam Burns has won this back-to-back years, so Coach will be against him. Burns 16-1 right now. Justin Thomas where is Justin Thomas? I don't even see Justin Thomas listed on here.
He's 11-1, isn't he?
Oh, there he is. Well, I got him 10-1 now too. Yep. So 10 or 11-1 for JT. So Coach will be against him. I don't mind Sam Burns here, but 3 in a row is going to be tough to do, so I won't be betting him either. And JT, I just don't think he'll be very focused on this tournament. Best bets from Coach Fleetwood and Matt Fitzpatrick. So Tommy Fleetwood and Matt Fitzpatrick, both Englishmen, like the plays. a lot. Both of these guys play really well in the wind. It's going to be this is a hard course anyway. Elevation. It's a lot like it's like Ogleby, the Jones course. Bad weather. There's going to be some heavy winds. So these English guys play really well in the wind. So I would sign off on Coach's picks there, Fleetwood and Fitzpatrick. Those are his top two. He also likes Brian Harmon, Adam Hadwin, and Ben Griffin for top 10 finishes. And then matchup-wise, tournament matchups, Tommy Fleetwood over Sam Burns, Matt Fitzpatrick over Jordan Spieth, Ben Griffin over Taylor Moore. Those are Coach's top picks for this week at the Valspar. Chris, anybody stand out to you? Anybody you like?
Well, I think a sleeper or a contender that could just sneak up in there. Garrick Higo,
okay,
80-1.
He's a streaky player. Yeah, he's all right, though.
He's a quality guy.
80-1, I think you get a good price on him.
And he's made like 5 of 7 cuts so far. I mean, you know, in a weaker field, maybe you give him a chance.
Absolutely. No, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I crossed over with Coach on a few of these guys. Love Fitzpatrick and Fleetwood, again, for their win play, especially. Very strong in the wind, and that's going to come into play here. Adam Hadwin, very solid performances here in the past for him. Top 10s a couple of times, so I'll be on Adam Hadwin. Justin Rhodes playing great golf right now. Love him. He's also a great win player, 20-1. His price is starting to shrink each week. I've been on him for several weeks in a row. Just waiting for him to break through, so I'll keep betting him. And then Trey Mullinax, I thought was a decent look at a top 20s, 125-1 to win. I'm not sure he can do that. Eric Cole's been playing good golf. Don't know what his course form will be like for this course. I don't know if he's ever played here before. And that's kind of where I'm at. So Fitzpatrick, Mullinax, Rose are my top plays, along with Adam Hadwin and Tommy Fleetwood. So I'll post these on our Twitter page, the Bettor's Last Stand Twitter and the Pine Room Podcast Twitter, so you can see these picks before they tee off tomorrow, and then we'll have anything that we like over the weekend. So again, remember, golf value is great. You can get just exceptional numbers on good players. Webb Simpson, another guy too. I was a little worried about him he's not been playing well, but I keep betting him, and at 90-1, I'll probably still bet him. Just because I don't want to get burned if he actually breaks through and wins. So that's where we're at with the Valspar this week. We'll see how that goes. Last week, Scotty Scheffler took down the Players. It ended up being a very unexciting event at the end. Disappointing. Had a lot of guys in contention. We just couldn't.
Those are disappointing when you get
big
tournaments like that. What they did.
Especially with golf now, there's so many good players. I hate to see runaway. But anyway, all right, jumping tracks. WBC champs Mexicans beating Canada 7-2. Champ, have you watched any of this WBC? It's been pretty good baseball so far. Any thoughts?
I'll tell you, they're good players, and I'll tell you what, they're into it. I mean,
yes, representing their countries.
Yeah, hey, George, I don't know how much you watch, but those crowds are into it. They're going crazy. They're cheering.
They love it.
Doesn't look like PNC Park in July, does it?
No, they're sleeping in their chairs out there.
Like somebody put them in a sleeper hold, right?
Oh, yeah,
yes.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, so far, Chris, I don't know how much of this you've watched. I've watched a bunch of it, and I've enjoyed it a lot. It's been a nice break from basketball and some of the other things that I'm kind of sick of, to be quite honest. I mean, I'm looking forward to March Madness tournament to an extent, but regular season basketball is wearing on me. Venezuela and Japan, to me, are the two best teams by far. Deepest pitching, best lineups. USA woke up a little bit yesterday. Venezuela won again today, 5-1 over Israel. So Venezuela marching their way towards their top of their group. They're going to win their group. They're 4-0 right now. So right now it looks like Venezuela is going to play the second place finisher in the USA group, which could be either USA, Mexico, or Canada. As we said, Mexico leads Canada right now 7-2. So if Canada loses here, USA then can still control its own destiny. They win out, they'll win the group. So that way they won't have to play Venezuela, but they may get the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. And I know this isn't going to air until after, but I hope that you watch this Dominican Republic Puerto Rico game that's on tonight. That is going to be an absolute war. It's at 7 o'clock. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to it a great deal. So I think Japan and Venezuela are the strongest teams. Cuba advanced this morning. They beat Australia in the first quarterfinal matchup, and then you got Japan and Italy, which is really late tonight or early tomorrow morning. As I said, USA controls their own destiny, awaiting this win of Mexico, Canada, to see who finishes second in their group. If the USA takes care of business, then Venezuela clinched Pool D today. Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico play it out tonight for second to advance. It's going to be huge. They're bitter rivals. It's going to be good. Chris, any thoughts on WBC?
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Who do you think's going to win it all?
Venezuela or Japan. I like them in the final. So I went with Japan early. I bet Japan to win it. So I'll stick with Japan. But I think Venezuela has impressed me more.
It's just disappointing that that we. I don't know. The rest of the world's caught up to us in baseball, and it seems like
the pitching mostly.
Yes. And the guys that we have, I mean, I know there's some guys that aren't participating because of injury, but
yeah,
I wish. I mean, they could still pull it off, though, right?
Oh no, the USA's got a good enough lineup to do it. They're going to need some exceptional performances out of their starting pitching, and I just don't think they have it. Their arms are old. I mean, Adam Wainwright's your number one now. I mean, that was great
40,
10 years ago. That was awesome, but not now. It's a shame that there's not another young, great pitcher for the United States anymore. But I don't know. I think Japan and Venezuela are by far the two best teams, and we shall see. But that Dominican Republic Puerto Rico game tonight is a must watch. Hopefully people check it out.
Let's go watch it, George.
Yeah, go to the club. So we'll see. The club.
Right.
All right, real quick before we take a break and get into our final segment, which we'll get through pretty quickly, I just wanted to mention Indian Wells tennis is going on right now. Great quarterfinal matchups right now. I'm going to have some plays throughout the weekend, so check our Twitter, check our Instagram at the Pioneer Podcast. Coco Golf and Arena Sabalenka, Maria Sakkari and Petra Kvitova, Makova and Elena Rybakina, Iga Swiatek against Serstra. You got loaded women's quarterfinals, and then you got Nori, Tiafoe, Medvedev, Davidovich, Fokina, Fritz, and Sinner, Alcaraz, and Auger Aliassime in the men. So those. I mean, that's like a major. So they say Indian Wells is kind of the fifth major out in California. So check that out too if you're looking for something other than basketball to watch. I'll have picks on it this weekend. They didn't have a lot of the pricing set yet. So and Napoli goes ahead 3-0 in soccer right now. Napoli I gave out on the show a couple of weeks ago to win the Champions League, and they're rolling along right now. So let's hope that ticket can cash. We also have Australian rules football, AFL. One of my favorite sports. I know a lot of people don't. This doesn't get much love in the United States, but it's worth a look. It's far better than the NFL, far better than college football.
Champ, you watched this before?
XFL?
No, the Australian rules. They don't wear helmets. They don't wear pads.
They just wear like shorts and shirts, and they crush each other.
It's like rugby and football combined.
It's so interesting and exciting because there's. And I agree, Matt. I would urge anybody to at least give it a watch. Even if you watch it. It is. I mean, it's real fun. We're not worried about headshots. A penalty because he hit him too hard. No, it's just hard nosed, and you got to be tough.
Exceptional skill involved, toughness, and just the intensity of the games and how the pace. There's no stoppages. It has a twist of soccer. It has a twist of a lot of sports.
That's another advantage, and I didn't know that with the Australian with the commercials. Because when you first had me start watching soccer. And I was like, well, this is pretty interesting. And it didn't dawn on me. And you said, well, there's no commercials till the half. And then with this too.
Yes.
This is entertaining, George. It really is.
It is.
Really?
It's on at an odd time. It's on late at night. Sometimes the earliest the game will start in the evening for us will be like 10:30. But they'll 11:30 midnight. If you're a night owl or an early riser, it's worth a look. They used to be on ESPN a lot back in the day, but Fox has it now. So check FS1,
Pat
FS2.
McCormick, Worm's a huge fan of this. Yeah. He used to love the way those
guy come out and
with the referee.
Yeah, they look like Panama Jack. Yeah,
and that's where we probably used to watch on ESPN 2.
It was on. When I remember the first time I ever got introduced to it when I was a kid, it would probably be in the late 80s. I remember when I would go up to West Liberty games for football on a Saturday, when I'd watch College Game Day would come on at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock. There would be one of these AFL games on before it. Yes, so it would be like finishing right as Lee Corso and Chris Fowler and all them guys were coming on back when that was in its like infancy. So that's how I'm an absolute diehard fan of this sport. I think it's just so good, so entertaining. Just like Chris said, not penalties. It's not ruled by officials. You barely even notice the officials.
No, that's exactly.
They only ever replay things if it's a goal, like on a scoring situation, where if it's a behind, or there's a lot of intricacies and different rules that you got to get used to. But really a cool sport to follow.
Well, and another thing too, and another thing that we bitch about every freaking game in the NFL. Pass interference.
Right. You don't have it. Well, actually, you can't have high tackles and meter penalties and stuff. So there is a degree of that, but pass interference isn't really a thing so long as you don't go high on a guy, like or up around his neck or something. Like, that's frowned upon. You can get penalized for that.
So is this week 1 then coming up?
Yeah, we got week 1 going into action starting tonight, or actually early Thursday morning. So I'm so pumped up about this. It goes on until the springtime. Got Carlton and Richmond kicking things off at 4:20 a.m. Eastern. On Friday night, there's a 10:45 match, so I don't know if it'll be on, but you can probably get it on the Fox Sports app. Whoa. West Coast and North Melbourne, that's not a very good game. 2 really bad teams. But anyway, real quick, I'll have picks. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just say, hey, stay in, get some rest Friday night. I'll come to your place. Saturday morning, 4:25. Western Bulldogs versus Melbourne Demons.
There you go.
4:25 in the morning?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's going to work.
I'll be
the baby.
Not with March Madness.
The baby will still be crying.
Him and Weeks will still be closing down the club probably.
No, but I'm glad you brought this up, Matt, because I was unaware. But this is fun.
It's a good watch. Urge you, and again, feedback, contact at thepineroomepodcast.com. If you have any questions, you can call the radio show on Mondays, Tuesdays, or Thursdays if you want to talk about any of this stuff. I just urge people to try to broaden your horizons a little bit, because sometimes these North American sports have been so they've been so overtaken by money and just greed. It's taken away from the actual product on the field, and this is some pure stuff still.
It is.
And that's why I love soccer, which I know a lot of people don't like the diving, and I get it. That's frustrating to me as well. But Aussie rules football is definitely worth a watch. So give it a look. It's right up there with golf, NASCAR, just some intriguing, broad horizon type sports. I'll have picks going up throughout each week. I'll have games that I like every weekend. So be checking them out at the Pine Room Podcast. You'll have all those picks each week on our Twitter, our Instagram, all across of our social media. Just real quick, before we go to break, Geelong Cats won it last year. They were just great towards the end of the year. About 10 weeks to go, you could tell they were going to win it. They were just dominating. Just really good players. Patrick Dangerfield and Tom Hawkins, and these guys are just beasts. So they're going to be tough to beat. Plus 450. They're the favorites right now. Brisbane, Melbourne, Richmond, all top contenders. I'll get more into it as we go along each week. I'll try to bring a little bit of information to you, maybe give you some something you didn't know about it each week, some interesting tip. But I like 2 plays that I'm going to give out right here, right now, and then I'll put them in the on social media as well. I like the Gold Coast Suns to finish in the playoffs this year in the top 8. It's a $3 bet. They're a young team, got some really good players. Had some injuries late last year. I think they would have probably made it last year. So top 8 is playoffs for this. So the AFL.
This is an 18-team league?
Yes.
They call it top 8.
Yeah, they call it the finals, which is not really the finals. The grand final is the actual final. So you got the top 8. That's who qualifies for the playoffs. So I like Gold Coast to make the top 8 this year at 3-1. I think it's a really good price. And I like the Fremantle Dockers top 4 finish for them. They made the finals last year and had a solid run, but couldn't really get past Geelong. They didn't have anything for them. So good stuff there from the AFL. I love the stuff. I hope everyone will check it out.
So they say the finals is basically us saying playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their finals is considered playoffs. That's the top 8. Yeah.
Okay.
So and they got cool formats too. They got replay. Like the top 2 teams only have to win once to get into the semifinals, and versus the other teams have to win 2 times. So it's set up pretty neat. So anyway, we'll talk more about it as time goes on. We're going to take a break on Bettor's Last Stand. We're going to come back. We're going to be quick. We're going to finish up with a little XFL racing. And I think that's going to be it. And we'll get you ready for March Madness. We'll be right back on Bettor's Last Stand with the one, the only, Ric Flair in studio.
Reminder, Bettor's Last Stand is for informational and entertainment purposes only. All wagering activity should only be conducted by those 21 years of age or older and within the confines of federal, state, and local law. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, contact 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537. You're watching Bettor's Last Stand.
All right, welcome back into Bettor's Last Stand. This is our 32nd show. We're joined here by legendary handicapper around the valley, George the Champ Kettlewell, the Pine Room's famous father. He's like our founding father. Couple things here, just a couple of thoughts I wanted to share on NCAA tournament betting that I thought were key for this week. Don't listen to these idiots on TV. If you want to listen to VSiN or some of those betting networks to give you some ideas, okay, that's good, though, because they're going to give you information, not going to tell you. Don't be listening to Seth Davis and all these clowns on television, Clark Kellogg. Jay Wright actually seems pretty sharp on there. So, but from a betting standpoint, if you're trying to make money in this thing, here's some advice. Don't listen to them. Don't eat and drink like a madman during these games either. Like if you're drunk by the time that the 2 o'clock games are starting off, chances are you're not going to win many bets, and that's the worst thing you can do. I.e., Mark Delbert.
And but he doesn't normally.
Oh no, he's usually locked in.
No, your bets are usually done before you go.
He makes it. He doesn't bet with it like his drinking involved. He does it early,
right? Because then that way too, then you don't let Mark influence you. Like if you guys have been drinking, he'll say George bet $20 on this team.
Mark goes, Hey, what you thinking like in the win the game, you know?
He doesn't know.
That's coach's biggggest obstacle is drinking.
And I think that's why George wins a good George is well over 500.
Oh, yeah.
And but because you study it, and then you don't alcohol's not a factor.
No.
You don't make any dumb decision. I mean, you're not going to win them all, but anyway, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Yeah, but that's the biggest downfall to a lot of people, Coach, especially the more he eats or the more he drinks is really the more he drinks. You miss tip-offs, you're betting stupid bets you don't really like, so just if you're trying to make money in this, just keep it together. Make your bets early. And in-play is an opportunity, but if you're getting all fucked up, it's not going to be good for you. You're just not going to win long term. You're going to make stupid impulse decisions and bet more than you want to or whatever, or miss out on chances that you did like because you're drunk and you're passed out in a booth somewhere or at the bar. Have your apps loaded, ready to go. Get your money deposited. Don't be waiting until the game starts to get those things ready because everybody always has a problem. Oh, I can't get my app to work. Why did you sort this out last night before the game just tipped off? That's a common problem that we deal with, and we don't want to have that happen. And then, if you're trying to win and turn profits here, watch some of the games in a relaxed atmosphere. Your own house, your home base, somewhere where you can listen, watch, pay attention, and then always go with your first instincts, like I did with UCLA and Texas, even though things have changed for them. I don't. The last thing I want is to get beat because I didn't have them teams that I liked all year. So stick with your gut. A lot of times, you at least you can sleep at night when you do that. If you go against it,
it's exactly
he always says.
He and I were talking today about that. You just said something about your gut. You ignore the numbers, and sometimes you just said, "I have this feeling." And a lot of times, your eyes tell you too.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Yep, he knows. He
keep focused,
Yep.
Yes, focus in.
Yeah, sometimes you have a premonition who's going to win.
Right. Sometimes like that works the best. Sometimes that's a lot easier than trying to figure it out with crunching numbers. So anyway, best of luck to everybody in the NCAA tournament. We'll be putting our picks up on social throughout and talking about it each week as we go to Sweet 16. Next week we'll have a lot of observations. All right, finishing up here, XFL last week. Chris favorites 4-0 last week, and then 2-2 on the over and unders. Any thoughts from last week's games? You had a couple of winners in XFL.
Yeah, when I had some Houston.
Yep,
right. I had
Houston rolled, and then you had a total too, I believe.
Yes.
But I don't remember off the top of my head.
But I do want to note, and I think I brought this not to your attention, but Sunday when we were at the club, that St. Louis game, I don't know who they were playing. They had 38
San Antonio, maybe
38,000 fans at that game.
No, we saw
Which
that crowd.
I thought was
fantastic. No, that's awesome. And because we remarked about St. Louis not having a pro team anymore, and maybe people were getting behind that.
Right. So I mean, I'm sure probably these other well, some of these other cities, I mean, a lot of them have teams already, but that was encouraging to see because I actually like the. At least when I say I like the product, I mean the quality's not as good as the NFL, but we've said this before about some of the rules that they have. I think are pretty neat.
Yeah. I think it's been pretty good overall. I've been impressed with it. I thought it's been the best of the football leagues, like the rogue league so far. Champ, have you watched any XFL? A little bit.
Some of it.
Yeah.
The rules are kind of strange,
interesting. Yeah, different,
right?
Yep.
And one of your favorite Steelers is a head coach is San Antonio, isn't he? Hines Ward.
Yeah, Hines Ward. Rod
Yeah.
Woodson's a coach too.
Yeah, Rod Woodson, another Steeler.
Wade
great.
Phillips. Yeah, you got some old timers in there. And observations, Chris. I think you and I talked about this last week. It seems to me and you, the DC and Houston are the two best teams. I think by a decent margin. And there hasn't been a team. I thought Orlando was going to be just god awful, but all the teams are decently competitive. But do you still feel Houston and DC?
From what
are the
I've
two
seen
top
so
teams?
far, I mean, what are we going into? Week 5?
This is week
maybe?
5, yeah.
And how many weeks they go?
I don't know if they're playing everybody. They play everyone twice.
Yeah, because there's
maybe?
8 teams, right?
Yeah, they may play everybody twice. So I wouldn't think it would be more than that. But maybe it's only going to be 10 or 12. So,
but it looks like Orlando's pulling up the rear.
Yeah, they're not very good.
Well, I figured they probably weren't going to be very good when I saw them starting Paxton Lynch.
And he got benched
week
by
1.
By the end of the
Halftime,
first half.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't good. So favorites 4-0 last week. The totals have been pretty even, right around. I'm almost 2-2 almost every week. The numbers have been pretty good. The bookmakers have got them pretty well gauged. The favorites are kind of locked into teams who are good. You can kind of see. This week, I thought Houston, that's a good game. Houston and Seattle, both coming off wins last week. I'm going to lean Houston there. I think that's not enough points. I think they should be laying more than 2.5. So I'll be taking the Roughnecks on Thursday. Chris, any thoughts on that game?
No, I like Houston too, even though it's on the road.
Yeah.
But giving 2.5.
Wade will have them ready.
I feel good giving 2.5.
And then on Saturday's card, DC and St. Louis.
Going
that should
into
be a good
Hornets'
game.
nest.
I'm going to take DC. I've been riding them since week 1 when they're actually dogs the first 2 weeks, and that kind of was flipped now. They're laying a small spread too on the road to St. Louis. No. I'll be going with DC in that game, and then the nightcap in that game, I'm going to be playing the Orlando and Vegas game under. Chris, any thoughts on Saturday's card?
I think that first game on Saturday is an intriguing matchup. DC at St. Louis. I'm going to take the underdog. I'm going to take the home team. I was encouraged by what I saw and the
crowd advantage, maybe,
which was pretty cool. So I'm going to go with St. Louis and although in Vegas, I'll take them. They're given 7.5. I feel comfortable with that. I thought right. Orlando was just awful.
They're bad. They're really bad. I like the under in that game because I don't know if Orlando will score double digits. So I would expect Vegas to pound them pretty good. And then Sunday's game, 10 o'clock Eastern kickoff on ESPN2. Arlington and San Antonio, pretty good matchup here. I'm going to be taking the dog in this game. I like Arlington a little better than San Antonio, but a very even matchup. Any thoughts on that one?
It looks 36. Like, I just noticed that total. They're is that a combination of good defense or inept offense?
I don't think either one of those teams has great offenses, but I think both their defenses have been pretty stout so far. So as you see, the totals are starting to creep into the 40s. Each week they've gotten a little higher, but that game's still staying down around 36. The first few weeks they were all 35, 36, 37 range. Then it went up a little, 36, 37, 38.
Well, it's the battle of Texas. I'm going to take Arlington getting 2.5.
I agree.
I'm going to take Arlington, the Renegades.
Yep. And you can check these picks out. Chris will finalize his numbers and send them to me, and I'll post them on social media for the weekend. So you will be able to have those if you miss it here. We'll have more analysis and picks on the social media outlets, the Instagram and the Twitter. So check those out. All right, finishing up here. We got racing to talk about really quick. Next week, we're going to have Sam on the show. Be sure and check his picks out. As soon as we get the computer finalized, we can call Sam in. He's going to be coming on the show after he's done work, talking about who he likes in racing. Last week's race, William Byron wins back-to-back. He wins at Phoenix. Rolling, he won at Vegas the week before, 14-1 he was last week. I got to say, I faded him last week. Lost a matchup against him. Didn't work out very good for me. So Chris, you had a top five with Chris Bell that you missed out on by one
I got a
spot.
question. I heard this new term now when you talk about you and Coach fading. What's that? What do you
That
mean?
means you just play against. You're like down. Like
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
yeah. So that's what fade means. So yeah, it's good question. So yeah, if you hear us say we're fading, we're basically going against that person.
Okay. All right.
Yep. All right. So this week in NASCAR action, we are at Atlanta. This is the Bettor Health 400.
Super Speedway, right?
Yes. Champ's boy, Chase Elliott, the defending champ, but he's out of action. He's
Champ, you were really bummed out about that. Yeah,
that was the man. I mean,
you'd bet him quite often and last year, even this year, and then he got hurt. And who's your go-to?
I don't know who to go to anymore.
Well, he had Hamlin. Yeah. Who did he have last week? He had Hamlin and geez, who was the other one? Logano.
Because I remember watching it with you guys.
Larson, maybe. Mm-hmm. Larson and Hamlin, I think.
Yeah.
So Kyle Larson, I keep waiting for him to win. This is a super speedway. It's different. They reconfigured it a little bit and put some more banking into it.
Yes.
It's been hard for me to figure out. Some of the super speedway racers have done better. So we'll take a look at a couple of those guys. So when we say super speedways, there's comparisons to Talladega and Daytona. It's still not quite as banked as that, but still a fast track and a lot of
it's not as
room
long
to maneuver.
In length, right?
No.
Because like Talladega is 2.5.
Yeah, this was only less than 2 miles.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it's.
But they cook.
They go fast, and it is a good track. The Hendrick cars have been great here. William Byron won here last year too. Chase Elliott won the last time they were here. So the Hendrick cars, those would be obviously Elliott out of action. But you got Byron, Bowman, and Larson, and then you have Josh Berry. He's filling in for Chase Elliott. So any of those cars, I think, probably going to be contenders here. I'll be trying to beat them just price-wise. Ryan Blaney always runs well in Atlanta. I'll be taking a shot with him. Austin Cindric, good long track racer, restrictor plate type racer. He's 30-1. I'll be taking a shot with him. And then two guys who have really good track history here: Daniel Suarez, 25-1. Eric Jones, 30-1. I look for both of those guys to be knocking on the door around top 10, top 5. And then the long bomber, Justin Haley, runs really well on long, big tracks. This speedway's not quite banked perfectly for him, but he did finish well here. He had a top 5 here in the fall last year. So those are the guys that I like. Chris, anybody stand out from your perspective?
Well, I don't know how he's done at this track, but a guy that I like, and I hope that I don't think he's hasn't been in victory lane yet, is Ross Chastain. I like him. I mean, he's plus 1,200.
I think Ross Chastain to me has one of the most versatile games. Mm-hmm. He's good on all the tracks. I feel like he's not a guy that I have like a stereotype of like, okay, this guy can only race this track. He's very good all the way around. So I like that bet. I think him and Kyle Larson and Ryan Blaney are all like desperately overdue to win a race.
Yes,
they all had great cars.
Seems...
Blaney hadn't won in like over a year.
Right,
like he didn't win all last year. He made the playoffs, but just couldn't get the victory lane.
Real quick, Matt, out of the two, the hot shot rookies, who's having a better year so far, Gibbs or the Gregson?
Honestly, both guys are kind of treading water right now. Neither one of them has performed probably up to what their standards are. You usually see that maybe early on. They're kind of feeling their way out. The second time they hit some of these tracks, I think they'll do better. I would probably say Ty Gibbs just a little bit better. And I actually backed Gregson a couple of weeks ago at, I think it was Vegas. And he didn't. He let me down. He didn't. He had been good there, but these cars are different, so these guys are getting used to it. So that's a great rookie group there. Those two guys.
I do like those guys.
It'll be a good finish. NASCAR is wide open as ever. Got great value here. You got so many good racers. Joey Logano's had 2 bad weeks in a row, so don't count him out. He's not really ever been that great in Atlanta, but a guy as good as him, he can kind of win anywhere. So check our picks out. Social media, we'll have those all posted. And our last event of the week to talk about here, just briefly, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. So F1 was off last week. Max Verstappen dominated 2 weeks ago in Bahrain. He literally led every lap of the race. He just completely dominated. Actually, Sergio Perez did lead a couple when he was pitting, but he just continues to outperform everybody. So Red Bull, we gave you a couple winners. We actually did pretty well in there. We had Red Bull on the podium. The Aston Martins look strong right now. Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, unexpected tick up for them. Mercedes was not great. Ferrari was terrible. I don't know how that's going to work here, so it's hard for me to give you any picks here right now. I'm going to wait till the weekend till they qualify, because these cars are so just finely tuned instruments, and you'll be able to tell a lot.
Minus 200. He's had, you gave us that printout.
15 times last year.
50. Jesus.
And he did win the Saudi Grand Prix last year, but interestingly enough, he overtook Charles Leclerc very late in the race. Leclerc led 30 laps in that race last year. Max only had 6 laps led, but he passed him at the right time and finished it off. Ferrari was strong here last year. They finished second and third. Leclerc second, Carlos Sainz third. Sergio Perez was fourth in the Red Bull. The Mercedes did not run very well here. The McLarens were just so-so. The Aston Martins, who seem to be the team that's improved the most in the offseason, they were down around 12 and 13 last year, but they've made immense strides. And Fernando Alonso is a guy that's probably going to win a race this year if their cars continue to hang. They were probably the second most impressive behind the Red Bulls in Bahrain a couple of weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So keep an eye on it. I would never advise anybody going against the Red Bull guys. They're really tough to beat right now, but I think you can get some really good picks on the top 6. I'll be giving out a few of those over the weekend, and then maybe another double podium type sweep for Red Bull. You can get that at plus money, and then you always got matchups to turn to here, and then they have all kinds of parlay options too, so you can get basically like a horse race trifecta kind of thing that you can play. So lots of things to look forward to. Red Bull seems to be dominant. As I said, Aston Martin looking very strong. Mercedes just so-so. Ferrari will bounce back, but they've not been. They were not good last or 2 weeks ago. And then who's going to be the other team? The McLarens were just dreadful in week 1. Team that I was high on, but they've been awful. We'll see. The Alpine team, I did not like them either. They're slipping a little, and then you got Williams and Haas just treading water. So hard to say how it's going to shake out, but most of the time you're going to see Red Bull on top. So we'll stick with that opinion for now until we see something otherwise. But it should be a good week of action. This is I think this is a late morning race on. Do I have the time? Yeah, 1 p.m. actually.
All kind
Sunday.
of stuff going on this week.
So good racing day. You got that leading right into the NASCAR Cup Series around 3:30. You got college basketball too. So and that F1 race this week against Saudi Arabia at the Jeddah course. So we'll stay tuned. Check our picks out on social. We have plenty of them posted between myself, Chris, Coach, Sam. I'll put Champ's picks for his regional finals and so forth, and we'll be passing along all the information. So, all right, that about does it for us from Bettor's Last Stand.
What are your thoughts,
George? Thanks for joining us.
Came in.
Thank you for inviting me, and been very interesting talk about sports and.
Yeah,
and the listeners get to know you. Listen, and they kind of pick your brain a little bit. Just hear your. What you're thinking. So before your strategies.
Before we sign off, it would only be appropriate for you to give us one of your nursery rhymes, one of your favorite nursery rhyme jokes for our listeners. They don't get to hear this all the time.
It's been a long time.
You got a lot of fans out here, so leave them with something something to give them a good laugh.
Mary had a little lamb. That's what she gets for fucking around with sheep.
Oh, it's perfect.
Perfect. I want to know one thing. When's West Liberty play next?
Tuesday?
Probably be Tuesday, yeah.
And that's Indiana.
They're the
Evansville, Indiana.
They're the 2 seed, right?
Yeah, Nova Southeastern 1.
And yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be cool stuff. Well,
they
we'll talk about that.
They hammered IUP.
Yeah, they did.
They beat the
West Liberty's playing really good right now. I knew they meant business when they beat Fairmont's ass last week.
Right.
They're going to be tough, and so will Nova. So maybe they meet in the finals. We'll talk about that next week on our shows on WKKX. So be sure you tune in noon on Tuesday and Thursday. Actually, this Thursday, which will be the day yesterday. We're out for the Mountaineers, but we'll be back on regular Tuesday, Thursday every week, 12 to 3. And then on Mondays, our regular spot, 2 to 3. No, I said 12 to 3 Tuesday and Thursday, and 2 to 3 on Monday. There we go. I'll get it eventually.
Well, George, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us. It's been a
Champ,
pleasure.
Where are you heading now? To the club, watch the ball games? Is that the plan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Stop by the Vets Club later this weekend. You'll probably see all of us there at some point or another as we enjoy the March Madness and all the other sports that are going on. NASCAR, we got all kind of things to do. All right. For the champion, George Kettlewell, and for Chris here, I'm Matt saying so long from Bettor's Last Stand. We will see you in the Pine Room soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.
God bless you.
Good night.
I'm not a crook.